Hey, the direct-to-consumer business actually works. Of course it works. It's just technology, right? So direct market, when we sell comics to comic stores, that used to be the best way to get your product directly to a consumer because they would know they'd go into a comic book store and the product would be there because the store was dedicated to offering it directly to the customer. But that was before the internet. That was before digital. That was before other technologies. So everything's going to be direct to consumer now. If you're wondering what happened with Mulan, how did it do on Disney's platform? It did effing amazing. It did like double what they were hoping it could do. They were hoping that maybe 15% to 18% of Disney subscribers would rent the movie. Well, it looks like about 29%. 29% of U.S. households that subscribe to Disney Plus actually purchased Mulan through September 12th. So it's now September 22nd. So they've got 29%. How much will they get ultimately? Just guessing on numbers, probably 35%. They were hoping for 15% would have been great. That would have been 6 million, well, not whatever, 15% of, that would have been 9 million. But they got like 18 million people direct to consumer at $30 a pop. And they're training those people to do more with the platform in the future. They're more invested in the platform. And the people that subscribe to Disney Plus, they get additional revenue from them from month to month to watch Mulan. And you get to keep Mulan if you rent it this way, because it's not really a rental, it's an ownership, but only as long as you continue to subscribe to Disney Plus. So Disney Plus is creating just future dedicated customers. I'm going to get into this article from Motley Fool, give you the rest of the details. Before I do, definitely subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications. That's the best way to support my work, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so Mulan looks like a big winner for Disney Plus. It is a big win. The highly anticipated movie may have brought in $270 million from domestic subscribers. It looks like that's what it did. If you were wondering if Disney Plus, and I've been wondering this ever since they announced the thing was coming out, if Disney's decision to take Mulan straight to at-home audiences, direct-to-consumer, would pay off, the answer looks like a resounding yes. While Disney has not released specific data about the performance of the live-action remake of the animated Disney hit on Disney Plus, a number of third-party metrics indicate that the movie was an overwhelming success. These third-party reporting systems are usually actually quite good, so you can rely on it. Several days after releasing the film in theaters, Disney decided to make it available directly to Disney Plus subscribers for an additional fee of $29.99 starting up on September 4th. But not theaters in the U.S. This was, they had it in theaters in China, they had it in Hong Kong, I believe Canada as well, but in the U.S. it was just available only through the Disney Plus platform, or, and that doesn't include this either, or a few other movie platforms like Apple's platform and a couple of the other platforms where you can rent movies. So who knows how much that was. Maybe that was 10%. Roughly speaking, that would be a reasonable guess because most of the action was going to happen on Disney Plus. So really, that could be as much as $300 million direct to consumer. Downloads for Disney Plus spiked 68% on Labor Day weekend compared with the prior weekend, according to Sensor Tower, nearly as good as the 74% jump the app got when Hamilton was released over the July 4th weekend. And when Hamilton was released, Hamilton was a free movie being released. It wasn't something that they were charging a $29.99 rental to see. And I've heard from friends they really enjoyed it. Good for them. I haven't seen it yet. Even better, consumer spending in the app jumped 193%, showing consumers were eager to fork over $30 for some new family entertainment. So 193% increase in revenue on the app is a very big deal. I tried doing some of the math on my own to figure it out. I could not really figure it out. I had no guidelines to go from, but these guys have intricate sources of data because they're doing all this detailed financial analysis. So once they publish, it saves you the work and trouble. Okay, so nearly 29% of U.S. households that subscribe to Disney Plus purchased Mulan through September 12th, according to 7Park data. Disney has about 60 million subscribers on Disney Plus, though it hasn't broken out the percentage of those coming from the U.S. Almost all of their subscribers pretty much are U.S. subscribers. They have very limited international. They have some international. They even did some initial testing on Disney Plus internationally. But the bulk of the subscribers definitely are in the U.S., at least 90%, if not 95% of them. Though it hasn't broken out the percentage of those coming from the U.S. Still, if about half of the subscribers in the U.S., now it's much more than half, and 29% of these are paid from Mulan, is estimated production budget of 200, that would be equal to 9 million accounts. It's not 9 million accounts. It's at least 15 million accounts. Wow. So these numbers, I'm just reading it now for the first time. These are bigger numbers than... This is well in excess of $300 million. He's being incredibly conservative. Because if you do some research on the percentage of Disney subscribers in the U.S., it's at least 80%. So that's a phenomenal number. It's actually closer to what I was telling friends I thought it would do. Probably $400 to $450 million. It keeps all that revenue as opposed to splitting the revenue 50-50 with theater operators. Now, that's not always a 50-50 split either, but it's true. For Disney, direct-to-consumer, they keep like 95% of the direct-to-consumer through Disney+. When they're doing it through other platforms, they keep closer to 80% of the revenue. But so when they're on a Apple Plus or whatever Apple's movie platform is, they're going to give a cut to Apple on that, but still they get a large chunk of the money, more than 50-50. That would represent a huge windfall for Disney and make Mulan profitable on the basis of Disney Plus U.S. sales alone. Disney CFO Christine McCarthy also said the company was very pleased with the results so far, though she didn't report the numbers. I'll do a follow-up video on this talking about... You know what? I'll research it right now. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I did some research. Can't seem to find it. What I can find is that Disney's generating an average of $5.63 per user per month in revenue, which is to say that their users are spending a reasonable amount of money. That is a lower rate than Netflix gets, but it's still respectable, and it means that they ain't just throwing around a lot of free subscriptions. And Netflix has done quite a bit with free subscriptions. Netflix is doing great, but Netflix is, to me, biggest challenge is they won't consider any line extension. They don't want to go into games. They don't want short-form video. They just want to be one uniform platform, and they want to keep growing and growing and growing, and that's fine, but look at what Disney's doing. They're coming up behind them, and they own brands and content. And Netflix is talking about trying to launch brands, but I mean, and they have a great, huge platform to do that with. But yeah, I'd rather be in Disney's position if I was picking one or the other. And I would make the movies right, damn it. I'd make them properly. The decision to bypass U.S. theaters and go straight to consumers also looks like it's been validated by the relatively weak performance of Tenet in U.S. theaters. Tenet, the Christopher Nolan directed spy thriller from Warner Brothers, was another big tentpole production that theaters like AMC Entertainment were staking their reopenings on, but brought in less than $30 million to the box office since its September 3rd debut. Yet Tenet didn't work. Didn't work in the U.S. It didn't work in China. Internationally, I think it's done about $200 million, but they're not going to recoup their costs. The other thing too with Mulan is they had it laying around anyway, so they may as well create this new premium access distribution channel direct to consumer for new movies and draw people to the Disney Plus platform. It's win-win for Disney. Why wouldn't they? A changing of the guard. Tenet's poor performance and Mulan's seeming success are causing Hollywood to rethink its upcoming releases, as movies such as Wonder Woman 1984 and Candyman have been delayed in the last 2 weeks, and more postponements are expected. Pressure has already been building on the theater operators before their August reopening. Comcast Universal Studios has negotiated with AMC to reduce the traditional window for theater to direct-to-consumer offering. They call it PVOD, Premium Video on Demand, or the period of time when a movie is exclusively in theaters from 75 days to just 17 days in certain cases, as long as there's at least 3 weekends involved. The window is shrinking for direct-to-consumer versus theater releases, obviously. And in some cases, like Disney's, they're saying, hey, we'll just throw a movie out to our Disney Plus platform. And sorry, guys. Sorry, movie theaters. For Disney, Mulan's success, which also launched on Disney Plus in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and several markets in Western Europe, also seems to justify a number of risks the company took and will add to pressure on theaters, shifting power balance more into the studios, which will only benefit Disney in the future. What's next for Disney? Disney CEO Bob Chapek called the Mulan release a one-off for the company before he released it, but also said it was a valuable experiment. Quote, he said, we find it very interesting to be able to take a new offering, our Premier Access offering, to consumers at that $29.99 price and learn from it and see what happens, not only in terms of the uptake of the number of subscribers that we'll get on the platform, but the actual number of transactions on the Disney Plus platform that we will get from that PVOD, Premium Video on Demand offering. PVOD versus, say, SVOD. SVOD is subscribe on demand. That's Netflix. Premium Video on Demand, meaning they call it premium because it's currently in movie theaters, although it wasn't in the U.S., but currently in movie theaters and also simultaneously allowed on demand to buy or rent. Chapek also explained later on the earnings call that Mulan was an incentive to sign up for the service. Yeah, it was. 68% more downloads, right? All I'll say about our research is that it shows that such an offering under a Premier Access offering not only gets us revenue from the original transaction, but from the PVOD, it also acts as a fairly large stimulus to sign up for Disney Plus. Yeah, it was great for them. So they're going to do a much bigger growth rate, which gives them more revenue for Disney Plus's offerings, and it gives them just more action and more activity on the platform. Based on the data showing that Disney Plus app downloads rose 68% in the premiere weekend, it appears that Mulan did indeed spark a wave of signups for the streaming subscription as well as generate revenue from the movie. As I said before, it was also available as a rental through other platforms other than just Disney Plus, but probably 90% of the people that are going to watch it and pay to watch it are going to get it from Disney Plus. Disney hasn't updated investors on its long-term strategy here or whether there may be a similar PVOD launch in the future, but the combination of Disney Plus, a streaming service with more than 60 million paying subscribers, with a hit factory studio that owns Disney, Pixar, and Marvel, is unmatched in the entertainment industry, and it's a competitive advantage waiting to be tapped. It's also a great advantage for them that they have multiple options about how to release their content. You know, Netflix does not. Netflix is not interested in having multiple ways of monetizing their content, whether it be through movie theaters or through a subscription video service, meaning like with Disney Plus is a subscription video service. People are paying monthly to have access to content. So they could have offered Mulan, and they will offer it to the rest of Disney Plus viewers, I think 6 months after offering it for a sale like this at $30 a pop. But they could offer it through movie theaters. They could offer it through physical media like DVDs. They could offer it through broadcast networks like ABC that they own, or they can offer it through cable channels, which they will as well. It's fairly unlimited for Disney, so whatever works, they can do. So multiple distribution platforms is something to take seriously, just the same way that direct-to-consumer is. So ultimately, don't you think Netflix is going to have a problem? Put in the comments below. I think they will. I mean, they're doing great, and they're growing, but every time Netflix stops growing, they seem to have a problem. They also last year stopped announcing what their cost to acquire subscribers was, international versus the domestic United States market. And the reason they did that is because they kind of want to make it hard to understand, really. Like, well, What are you paying to acquire a subscriber? What's the potential market growth in the future for Netflix? Because obviously population growth will increase in the United States, but they need more than that to show how they're going to grow in the United States market, and they're tapping out what they can grow. And it's much more valuable to have a U.S. subscriber than it is to have some subscriber in Russia. They also announced recently, Netflix, that they're not even bothering to pursue business in China. And I like that because I like entertainment companies not being dependent on China. But in the meantime, they're also doing movies like Cuties. So it's like, well, how much worse would it be anyway? They also just recently did a movie about a guy who's in love with an octopus. So that's another story. While Disney still, that's a true story too. While Disney still recognizes that some movies like Marvel releases may be best shown in the theater, the success of Mulan opens the door to a number of possibilities, including premium tiers for Disney Plus, which it already has premium access, and more PVOD releases, and strengthens its hand in negotiations with theaters. One thing is clear: there's plenty of demand from Disney Plus subscribers for premium content. Getting 29% of their subscribers to rent at $30 a head is phenomenal. I mean, that is phenomenal. It shows you direct-to-consumer works. It's all about technology. Direct, and multiple distribution channels too, because and formats. You never know what's going to happen. Things change in the future. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Put in the comments below, is this what you thought was going to happen with Mulan? Man, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars. Good for them. I mean, success is good. We have to see what we can learn from it. Also, if you want to support my work, collegeofthedead.com. Pick up a copy of College of the Dead Graduation Day and the prequel, the book that came out before it, which is part of the ongoing series. College of the Dead Spring Break is coming soon. I'm just selecting artists still. I'm very, very particular on who's going to draw it. And also, you can sign up at epicmermaids.com and get an email when I'm going to launch The Mermaids. The Mermaids is a full-color ongoing series. It's like Game of Thrones with mermaids, only much more awesomer. Yep, it's a real word. I just made it up. Awesomer. All right, I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.